Hello, my friends and family around the world. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Gunn Show presented by MTD Global. Today, I have the great pleasure to hop over and speak with one of my friends in India. His name is Gavin Price, the man, the myth, the legend, Gavin Price. He is MD at Aaron1 Engineering. This is the Gunn Show. Gavin, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for inviting me, Tony, and it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, I've already mentioned that I'm talking with a gentleman in India, which is true, but you may notice there's not an Indian accent. So, Gavin, what are you doing in India, bud?
Well, I came to India in 2011 on a sort of a subcontinent project for an aerospace company in the UK. And I once I'd visited here, I decided to stay. So basically, I could see the opportunities that was presented in India. I could see there was a lot of challenges in the market, but a lot of opportunities. And I soon came back early 2012, and I decided to, go into the market and see what I could do, basically.
And you started off as a young lad in England, is that correct?
That's correct. I was a time-served apprentice straight from school at the age of 16. I got an apprenticeship with a company that manufactured special purpose and machinery. So they kindly sponsored me to go to college and do my education, and give me an all-rounded on the job experience, really, right from milling, turning, grinding, all of the kind of manual machines. And then right through to the office where I was a design engineer for a number of years. And then I moved into production control, CNC programming, and then became a key part of the kind of management team there, really. And then following that spell, I joined a subcontract aerospace company. So that was my big sort of, leap, really, from having a product and managing that product to then going into a fast-paced, make to print, very cost sensitive environment in aerospace. So it was a big jump.
I believe there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there and a lot of want to be entrepreneurs, and not in the wannabe sense of, they have it and they're not good at it, but in the sense of, aspiring to be an entrepreneur and work for themselves. But not only are you an entrepreneur, but I feel like it's a really brave thing to hop from one country to another country in order to do that. What type of courage or inspiration, kind of help push that step along? You said you really saw opportunity in India, but what else happened in your mind jumping from England to India and launching your own business like that?
Well, when I was I actually hated India for the first kind of 4 or 5 months I was here. I had a real tough time. I had obviously the food poisoning, the issues with getting from place to place, the heat, and I just thought that it wasn't really for me. And then I went back just before I kind of finished my term here, and I was going back to the UK to kind of take up my current role back in the subcontract aerospace company. I realized that once reaching the UK, it is extremely cold, extremely bleak, and I just thought, maybe it's not so bad in India after all. So I came back after the sort of Christmas break in a different light, and I thought I'm going to really see the next kind of 3 months out in more of a positive way. I was due to sort of finish, or I wanted to finish, in the kind of sort of March end, April, and I thought, I'll really push now and make the best of it. And when I came back, I kind of changed the mindset, and I thought, actually, what I'm seeing here is there's a very young workforce. There is a lot of people that willing to learn. There's some good skills, but just where I could see myself at that point in time, there was a huge amount of opportunities, that I could fit into. And I first of all thought about coming back and being like a consultant. So I had a couple of opportunities working for a couple of companies and doing consultancy. And I'd already decided I was gonna come back. And then just before I left, or planning to leave, I actually met my wife to be, as it's so to speak, which I later came back to India and married. But the main reason for coming back to India was the opportunities. My wife was an added bonus at that time. So I then left the UK, and then, you know, I had this kind of idea in my mind, which was I wanted to come back and I wanted to see what I could do. And then I had this other idea in my mind that, you know, I really enjoyed, you know, the company of my wife to be, and you know, the lady I just met, and, you know, it's an exciting opportunity to come back and obviously see how that worked and see how, you know, then I could see how I could progress my career also. So I had these two kind of, you know, items on my mind, but I decided to go for it. So I went back to the role in the UK and kind of stepped back into my current position, which was like operations director. And I just decided that, look, I'm going to leave, and I gave my kind of resignation with a view that I would kind of see the next few months out. I extended it a little bit, got to the middle of the kind of year, July, August, and then I said, look, I'm going now. At that point in time, I never actually had a job. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? I thought, well, okay, if I, you know, sell my house, get rid of all my worldly possessions, and kind of cash in on that money, what would I had? It wasn't a great deal at the time, because obviously, you know, the house prices in the UK, I bought at the peak and sold at the lower side, you know, getting rid of a car and all these things. It's not a great amount of wealth at the time. So I came back to India with a very small amount of money, and didn't have a job, but then came back to India and kind of sat in Goa thinking, what am I going to do? And then applied for a job with a UK company in an automotive environment, and it was a UK and Chinese joint venture, and actually kind of got the job. And it's funny that the company that I kind of applied for, I obviously went for an interview, and then I didn't hear anything. And then about, you know, a month or so later, they said, look, we want to interview you again. And I kind of said to them, look, if you want me, I'll only join the interview if you want me. If you don't want me, I won't come to the interview, because this is a one-shot chance. You know, if you're going to take me to the call or bring me to the interview, it's for the offer me the job. I can do this job. It was more like a turnaround or shutdown kind of thing. They're struggling in India, you know, the same story that you do here, where foreign companies come, they really have a, you know, difficult time setting it up and getting the quality right. You know, the company had high PPMs, they were hemorrhaging money, they couldn't get the workforce trained, and they're having a tough time. So I was confident. They said to me, when can you start? I said, I've already got my visa. I'll be there, you know, early October, sort of 10 days after, you know, they offered me the job. And they said, do you want to walk around and see? I said, no, I'll just turn up and I'd handle it when I get there. And that was the approach I took. And then shortly after that, in November, I got married. So 2012, I left the UK, sold everything I owned, came to India with no job. I spent all my money on my wife's engagement ring, got a new job, and got married. So it was quite a busy year. And when I first went back to the UK and told all my friends, this is what my plan is, they thought I'd gone mad. My friend said, so you're gonna quit your job, you're gonna, you know, get rid of your car, you're gonna, you know, sell your house, you're gonna do all this, and you're gonna go to India on a dream. You sound like you've gone crazy. I said, no, this will work out for me. You wait and see. And I've never really looked back from there on, really. Every year he's kind of, I've strived for more. Every year we've grew in whatever we've done. And the organization I was working for in Pune went from strength to strength. I traveled the world with them in their other facilities and supported them and grew that company, added new customers and took it into aerospace. And then I got involved in a joint venture where with a company I used to work for. And then in 2017, I decided it's time for me to step on my own. So, you know, I recruited amount of money over the last few years and decided to invest it into what we've got today, which is Aaron1, which is my oldest boy's name. And we've grew from zero to over $2 million in as little as 4 years, really, and one of them years being COVID. So we've had huge growth up until COVID. We won the Telangana Award for best financial performer. We're now I say a key aerospace supplier in India with a good reputation. We hold, a number of major OEMs into the aerospace and defense market, and we've got close to 40 machines now. So it's quite a very good success story, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2012, I had some friends that were going, "Oh, the Mayan calendar says it's the end of the world," and you pretty much flipped that script and got married and moved to a new country and got a new job and sold all your stuff. So that's that's completely different from that Mayan calendar end of the world thing. I have had the great pleasure to visit your facility, and I can see from last year to this year, even the growth in just the year, even during the COVID year. But what I saw was also pretty exceptional what you were able to accomplish, and you have great partnerships there. What was it like when you first started to now? Because I know you mentioned having a bunch of machines, I believe 41 CNC machines or so. But what was it like when you first started? Did you have older rebuilt machines? Was it 1, 2, 3? Did you instantly have 20 machines? How did that transition go as you became the entrepreneur and the successful entrepreneur that you are today?
Well, what happened is I had with the partnership I had in Pune, I had a vision where I wanted to take that kind of business, and unless you're kind of here on the ground in India, it's very difficult sometimes with overseas partners to kind of get what you're trying to do. So this was the main thing that I needed to kind of release myself from that and be able to sort of feel the pulse of the market, because I always knew that if you, to a certain degree, if you can deliver and if you build, they will come. But this is kind of an industry where you have to have skills and knowledge and a lot of contacts, obviously, and to get sort of into this market and be successful. You can't just, put a load of machines in a building and say, look, I've got a machine shop. You need to have, historical sort of success in manufacturing. And this is where kind of I guess it stemmed from in the UK, where I was been involved with aerospace. In India, I got approvals from a number of big OEMs, and then I got a number of approvals again in Pune. And then speaking to them people again, I was confident that if I set up on my own and did what I said I was going to do, I would deliver. And what I did is I started the business with about maybe about $250,000. So, but I knew that I would need about $1 million to make it interesting to the sort of the bigger OEMs, because a smaller company, 3-4 machines, it's not really that attractive to the bigger the bigger sort of OEMs or customers. And with the hourly rate that you can charge here, it becomes difficult to sort of get a return. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll start off with 5 machines. So I bought 2 used pre-owned Hasses, and I bought 3 LMW machines from Coimbatore, and I started. But what I did do, which was probably the most the cleverest decision I did, I spent over half my money on quality. So I bought a Carl's Eye CMM, put it in a nice fancy room. I bought an optical scanning machine, a digital Trimos, a digital profile projector. I really spent a lot of money on that front end quality. So when customers visited, they didn't see a small company mentality. They saw, okay, this guy's got 5 machines, but he's got a lot of inspection. So he's obviously main focus is on quality. And that really kind of helped me sell that vision that, okay, we've got 5 now, but we're gearing ourselves up for, 25 or 30. And what I did is I quickly managed to get AS approval, and I started to obviously push myself into the market. There was a lot of challenges because there's a lot of people in India with AS approval. The market is quite flooded with companies who have got AS approval, not only in India but across the world. But we wanted to offer something a bit different. So what you kind of got from us is you got the European or English feel in a low-cost country. So it was like, it's not really a it's not really, I guess, an Indian, a typical Indian business or an Indian business. It's a European business, happened to be in India, which was quite unique. So you get the kind of, you get the benefits, you get, the honesty, the integrity, the quality, but you get the low price. So that really worked in a positive way. And it was easy, obviously, for me to then go back into UK and get business. So I got a lot of business back from the UK. And then I got lucky. You always need a little bit of luck. I got one client come to me and said, look, we've got this job. It's, a Renault 77 forging. It was rock hard. It was like cutting rock almost. And, it was an intricate shape. It wasn't a nice and clean forging as such. It was a painful shape forging where you had to hold and clamp and support, and then 5 or 6 hops. It really was a 5-axis job, but we didn't have a 5-axis. So they said, we struggled throughout India with this part. Would you develop it? And I said, no, not really, because if I do this for you and I get it wrong, it will close our relationship, because we were a new supplier to them. They didn't really want to add any more suppliers. We was an unknown entity. However, the people in the organization kind of knew of me and what I had done before. And I decided, okay, I'll take that challenge. And we quite quickly became successful on the part and delivered regular. And it was a major part that went into a major aerospace project. And it kind of allowed us to purchase machines at quite a rapid rate. And we grew from 5 in the first year to about 15. So that was a big jump. That was like the first 5 or 6 months we were showing a loss with 5 machines. And I kept saying to my wife, don't worry. This will turn around. And then all of a sudden, we went, from a loss to a big profit. And then every month was the same. And then we grew. And then all of a sudden we needed another facility. And then I decided then to, put another kind of $250,000 into the company. And then we moved. And then we had 2 facilities running. And then all of a sudden, then I ordered, another 10 or 15 machines. But what was another big advantage to me is I found a number of partners in India that allowed and supported me in terms of credit, trust. And that was a big factor in our growth. Without these people, getting credit in India is difficult anyway, but getting credit on machines, we haven't got the machinery finance mechanism, perhaps like the UK or US or Europe, where you can get a machine for a long period of time and you can pay 3% interest. Our interest is, 10, 11%, if you can get that finance package. So when you get that opportunity where someone's supporting you on your machine growth with the trust, it does help. And that's what took us really to, 25, 30 machines. And 2019, sort of 20, just before COVID, we saw I think it was like a 50% growth from the previous year. And it was just crazy. And we added multiple customers, and we should have been up to $3 or $4 million now, at the current pace. So you need luck. You need obviously experience. You need to, in my experience, you need to be a hands-on manager. You can't sit in an office and manage. I run my shop floor from the shop floor. I'm on the shop every day, and I'm touching the machines and I'm loading vices, because unless you're with the guys and you've got a feel for what's happening, it's difficult in certainly in any country it's difficult, but in India especially. So the only way that we can succeed and grow is that that I'm actively involved, and I'm training the guys from the shop up basically, and that's been the biggest success.
Well, you mentioned several times relationships and being a bit lucky, and then having some fortune. You mentioned 3% to 11, 12% for investing in machines when it comes to payment plans and that kind of thing. I think it's fair. When I came to your facility, and I know you've grown immensely, and you're not just you don't just have a bunch of Haas's there, but you did. Maybe that's part of the foundation, and I think it's fair that we kind of talk about a little bit the guys over at Manav that we're friends with, you know, Naveen and Jumbo. I think they've done a great deal of exploration with you and believing in you as well. Do you find that it's fair to say hi to those guys and give them a quick shout?
Yeah, you know, I've always been pro Haas, and that actually my story with kind of Mano wasn't a good start. It was a bit of a rocky start. And I guess if it wasn't for the relationship with the way, you know, Naveen who down in the, you know, operates and runs his kind of relationships, we probably wouldn't have got off to this amount. But because he, you know, he runs his relationships in a different way, we've managed to, you know, grow our Haas machines. We've grown our relationship with Manav, and we've grown Haas in the region as a whole, really, with the popularity. And you know, it's kind of worked well. We do obviously have other relationships which are forging along, you know, forged in India with other suppliers. You know, I'd like to say that, you know, I've got a good relationship with Lokesh Machine Tools, which is are not one that you've perhaps not heard of before, but they're a Hyderabad-based company and similar. You know, we kind of stumbled across them. They supply machines, and you know, they tick a box, and we've got a good relationship with them. So you have to have a number of these kind of key relationships, really, and I believe that it's best to kind of have very few brands, but have, you know, a couple of good ones that support you. And it doesn't have to be the best of the best, but you know, I believe that we can make parts on any machines. Anyone who says, you know, this machine's better than that machine and that machine's better than this machine, okay, you know, we'd all like the Rolls Royces of machines, but you can machine any product on anything if you've got the skill. And I believe in that. You know, we do some really good stuff on Haas. You know, we're cutting, you know, 65 Rockwell, we're cutting ink canals, we're cutting, you know, titaniums, harmonics. We're doing all sorts of complex parts. But we know the limitations. We know the limitations of our products for people. But we may sometimes do products slightly unorthodox. But we get around it.
You know, I know that you have been in aerospace and automotive and medical, you know, for years. But when COVID hit, you got real clever and started creating your own line of products. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You know, when COVID hit and we got we kind of got the notice that we had to shut down, and it was, you know, if you can imagine, we on March 20, I think it's 23rd or 24th, we got a notice from the government saying you're closed, and that was you know, a big shock, a really big shock. And what we had to do then is I had to think about what was going to happen. You know, how was it I was going to come back from this? You know, how can I, you know, think about the next 12 months and what is it going to be? What is it going to mean to aerospace? So I started chalking up a plan at home, and I was thinking, you know what I'll do is I'll fast track our medical certifications. At least then we can kind of work our way. We already had some medical customers, but we thought we'll get this approval, then we'll be able to push more in the medical sector. So that was what kind of one strategy, which we've now kind of completed. Then the next thing was, I always wanted to bring some of my own products to market, and we'd made some products that we were using in-house, and, you know, there's always a plan that one day we'll roll these out when we get quieter. So quite quickly, we got the design guys, you know, with the ideas, and we drafted up some products, and we came up with a range of CNC accessories, and you know, right from kind of you know, sort of CMM kits to you know, storage solutions, etc. We kind of brought them to market, and quite quickly we've managed to get you know, 4 or 5 kind of distributors that we've managed to sell these products to, that are kind of been selling on a regular basis. And soon we're about to kind of release our Indian kind of web store, as well as we're looking hopefully to take on some dealers in the US. So that's been a real good success. You know, it's added quite a bit of revenue when we needed it. It's added another kind of division to or a string to our bow that we didn't have before. And obviously it's controlled by us, so we haven't got the worry of rejects or issues or tolerances. It's in our control, which is really nice.
Well, you mentioned a couple of countries in the store coming out. Are you trying to get these products? So, the MTD Global, we have listeners and followers from around the world. Are there any countries that you'd like to speak to, right now, just saying, hey, check out our website at so-and-so. We'd love to distribute in your country. If you find an interest in that, let's expand there. Let's discuss that.
Yeah, I think obviously at the moment we're looking for distributors across the globe, and if anyone is obviously interested who's listening to this, who could be interested to understand more, then you can contact me at my email address at gavin.price@aaron1engineering.com, and we're happy to share the information to you. What we're trying to do is kind of turn the kind of CNC accessories upside down a little bit. We're trying to offer quality products at a quality price, so you're not paying a ridiculous amount for items that you use every day. So how we're selling them is they're designed by engineers and made for engineers. So it's that type of strategy, really.
Something else about you, Gavin, that I've noticed, or your company that I've noticed, and this comes from the social media world, is it seems like somewhat often I see you post a hiring notice. It seems like you're constantly growing. I know you have around 145 employees according to your website, and that continues to grow. How do you continually find and train the right people to help you do what you need to do?
We're always looking for good talent, and unfortunately in India there is a kind of idea that people, obviously there's probably 10% of the people jump for money, so if you can try and train them to retain them, then you're doing well. But you will obviously come March, when salary hikes get announced, there will be a level of kind of jumping from job to job. So you have to be mindful of that. But what we're planning on doing this year is, obviously we don't want to stand still. We realize that we need to push our accessories. We need to push our medical approval, and we need to obviously continue with the business development in the aerospace. We also need to grow, our third shift. We need to add more people in design. And one of the main things that we're looking for now, and the reason why we're hiring, and we do hire, on LinkedIn, for example, we use that platform quite a lot. That's become our key platform for recruitment, because we get lots of resumes. We have an opportunity to check their kind of the job, how long they've worked, by looking at their profiles. It becomes easy to communicate, and then you can understand where they've worked and what they've done, and you can close your candidate quite quickly. And we've recently hired off that hiring recruitment advert which we placed last week. We've hired about 5 people already, so that's been really a good success. But what is the main focus this year is to continue, obviously, with the manufacturing, is to push the CNC related accessories. But later in Q3, we're opening like a tech center, if I can call it that. And what we've done is we've partnered with a US company, where we've, and a cool partner, because there will be a machinery supplier to us, but our suppliers are our long-term partners. So we've partnered with a 3D printing company to supply us some metal printing and composite printing. And we're going to open a tech center stroke design center, where we're going to offer our customers a different experience. So we're not just going to offer the fast products. We're going to also offer the design development, the manufacturing, and we're going to offer a training school. So we want to offer a training school that we can either train our own people, more on the kind of younger talent front, and we can try and retain them longer. But then we may also roll that out to others as well. So we're going in a different direction to give you, the customers or potential customers, the kind of the one-stop experience I don't think is available right now. And it's going to be one of them times where, you've visited the factory, fine, but next time you want to come and meet us, you come to our tech center, and in our tech center there's a different experience, and you can see, maybe some products being printed, you can see the training school, and you can get in, touch and feel some of the kind of things we do from a promotional point of view, as well as accessories on display, and a bit more of a general kind of overview of Aaron1 from afar, I guess.
Oh, you beat me to the question or the thought of additive manufacturing. I knew that you were going into that, and I was hoping you would bring that up, and you did. But it also sounds really cool, this tech center you're talking about, and I really hope the borders open up so I can come see you guys, and we can visit again in person and grab a beer and all that kind of stuff. But man, what a creative mind you have, Gavin. I want to revisit your idea because I think it's important for the listeners to understand this and not just pass over it as if it's inconsequential. I want to revisit. You mentioned that Aaron1 Engineering and you coming from the UK and the background that you have and launching your company is like having a European company in India, which is having that quality but also being able to produce that competitive pricing. So when we're talking to those, possible distributors and sales guys out there, or, that are going to push your new products that you've created, or someone that wants to work with you where you're making their products for them, they're going to get all the quality that they expect from some of those European countries, right?
Of course. And, there's a global myth that lower cost is bad quality. And, people need to realize that it's not always the case. Lower cost product is manufactured in a lower cost region. It's just simple, economics. It doesn't mean it's bad quality because it's lower cost. It just means that you're in a lower cost economy. Economics says that, your hourly rate is less, your product will cost less, but there's no reason why the quality should be bad. Okay, there is times when quality is bad in some of these lower cost regions, but there is extremely good and capable machining companies across the world in every low cost country, as well as every, higher cost country. There's good and bad everywhere. And just looking at India as a whole, I can speak for some of the guys here. There is some very good, manufacturing companies. There's also some very bad ones, but it's no different to any country you're involved in, right? It's, I can go to some companies in the UK and I can think, God, if this was in India, we wouldn't be getting any work. And I'm sure the same in the US. So just to answer your question, there's we offer a very unique concept. We are, I'm lucky enough also to have one more British guy with me who works alongside me. So we are, we give her that service that we would in the UK, and probably better, because we can do it better. The reason why is because we have more people around us at lower cost that gives us the opportunity to step back. We're not tied up to doing lots of paperwork ourselves. We've got, lower cost individuals that can do detailed documentation, PPAPs, control plans, diagrams, drawings, process control charts, 100% check parts, 200% check parts if need be, and still make a low-cost product. When you walk into a company in the US or, in these higher cost countries, and you walk into a quality room and you see that they're pushing out, $2, $3, $4 million a year, right? Or maybe more. And they've got one CMM, and they've got, 2 inspectors and a standard TriMOS and high gauge, et cetera in there. And they come and tell you, by the way, we 100% your parts. There's no physically way or time or cost that they can do that, purely because there's not enough men and there's not enough time, and the cost would be, just crazy. But India, we actually have that option to be able to do it because, the costs are there. So we have and really do have the best advantage to get it right.
And so I want to kind of, tie this all together from the beginning of your courage and bravery. And thank you for sharing that story, jumping over from England and hopping into India and kind of finding some partnerships and some friendships, ended up finding a family as well, or creating a family. I want to kind of bring this full circle and say, or ask Gavin, if someone out there right now is considering launching their own machine shop, what type of advice would you give for that person?
I get this question asked quite a lot, actually. I get a lot of messages and say, can you guide me? Can you help me? I think if you're going to set the machine shop up, I think you need to think slightly out of the box. You're not going to, I don't believe you're going to find it extremely difficult to succeed and grow with just the mindset that I'm going to put 2 machines or 3 machines in the shed. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to be like a 2nd tier or 3rd tier subcontractor. I think you've got to set it right from the beginning. You've got to have, it doesn't matter how small your facility is. I think it's got to be the best as it can. And what I mean by that is it's got to be, the floor's got to be painted. It's got to be clean. It's got to give a pristine, working environment. It may only have 1 machine in there, but it should look right. If it looks right, then you'll get the confidence that you're serious about what you're doing. And customers will come.
I think that's great advice. And seeing what you've done over the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's remarkable to watch. And I appreciate you being a part of this show. And when I was in India, being so hospitable and allowing me to come through and really learning a lot about how you guys create what you create, which is a beautiful thing. So if someone is interested, you mentioned your email, but if someone wants to find you online, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any social media platform, any website, how would they know to look you up? Where would they go?
So they we're spread across all of social media. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and it's Aaron1 Engineering. You'll easily find it. We're very active on there. And then we've also got, for our UK kind of customers, we've got a gentleman who works for us in the UK, who's like a business development stroke, customer liaison, and you can contact him on salesuk@aaron1engineering.com. And that kind of leads me on to as well that we are hoping to open a UK facility, which I forgot to mention. I actually was going to do that in 2019 end, and just before COVID kind of happened, it kind of put it on the side. But our plan is to open a facility back in the UK in the next coming years to give that that experience on a bit more of a global perspective, so we can offer the UK market as well as the low cost arm. So this is a lot bigger strategy. But I just want to just repeat again that you can find us on Aaron1 Engineering. Just do a search, Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can contact me at gavin.price@aaron1engineering.com.
And for you guys who don't know how to spell that, it's AARAN1, the number 1, and then you can find it at all those locations. You brought up the UK site and your buddy over there. Is that our mutual friend, Mr. Sam?
Yes, Mr. Sam.
Mr. Sam Suffolk. He's a good guy. He's a good partner for you, I believe.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good guy. Yeah, he helps a lot.
Awesome. Well, Gavin, I appreciate you being, not just on this show, but a friend and an inspiration for me in this life. Thank you for sharing your story with our audience here. And for all you folks who are listening, thanks for tuning in to the Gunn Show, where we try to bring artificial intelligence or the people of this industry to life with authenticity. And I think we've done that today with my good buddy, Gavin. So once again, Gavin, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. And I'll hopefully see you soon.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.